Dad, perfect revenge. You don't deserve to sit with us. That's what my daughter-in-law Jennifer told me 2 days before Thanksgiving. After 8 years of paying for everything in their lives, I wasn't even worth a seat at the dinner table. My name is Kenneth Barnes. I'm 58. And I work as a financial consultant here in Scottsdale. What happened next changed everything. And I mean everything. The message came at 3:47 on a Wednesday afternoon. I was reviewing client portfolios when my phone buzzed against the mahogany desk. Expected it to be about Thursday's dinner plans, maybe Bradley asking what time I'd arrive or what I should bring. Instead, I read, "Dad, this year we're celebrating Thanksgiving with immediate family only. You're not invited." I stared at that screen, read it again. The words didn't rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Immediate family only? I'm his father. How much more immediate can you get? Before I could even process that bombshell, another message dropped into the family. Chat. Jennifer's name appeared with that little typing indicator. Then her words materialized like a slap across the face. "Maybe someday you'll earn the right to sit at a table with us, Kenneth." Not yet. Earn the right? I set the phone down real careful, like it might explode if I wasn't gentle with it. Except, I wasn't the fragile one here. I was the one who'd been holding everything together for 8 years, since my wife Susan died, and left me drowning in guilt, trying to prove to my son that I could still be the father he deserved. See, when Susan passed from cancer, I threw myself into making sure Bradley and his family never wanted for anything. Figured that's what she would have wanted. Every month, automatic payments flowing from my account to theirs, like clockwork. Mortgage, car payments, insurance, private school tuition for the grandkids Lisa and Ryan, even Jennifer's credit card bills, because she claimed her business expenses were really investments in Bradley's future, networking opportunities. I picked up that phone and started scrolling through our family chat history. Found the thread from 3 months back where Bradley asked if I could cover their mortgage for just a few months while he transitioned to a new position. Found Jennifer's message from last spring about private school tuition being an investment in the children's future. And wasn't I invested in my grandchildren's future? Found my own responses, every single one a variation of course, and already sent and anything you need. My fingers moved almost by themselves, opening my banking app. I navigated to the recurring payments section and just looked at the list. Really looked at it maybe for the first time since I'd set everything up on autopilot. Mortgage payment, $3,200 monthly. Car lease for Bradley, $489. Car lease for Jennifer, $512. Private school tuition for both kids, $2,200. Their homeowner's insurance, utilities, premium cable package. Jennifer's credit card auto pay that had been quietly accumulating her business expenses at an average of $900 monthly. I muttered the total to myself, letting each word hang in the empty office. $8,550 every single month. Outside my office, footsteps approached. Barry from the adjacent suite paused in my doorway, already wearing his coat. His voice was cheerful, oblivious to the crisis unfolding at my desk. "Kenneth, you heading out soon?" "Happy Thanksgiving." I looked up, assembled my professional mask. "You too, Barry. Drive safe." He waved and disappeared down the corridor. I heard the elevator chime, then silence settled back over the floor. Most of the building had already emptied out for the long weekend. I was alone with my phone, my computer screen, and a clarity I hadn't experienced in years. I read Jennifer's message one more time. "Maybe someday you'll earn the right," as if I hadn't earned anything, as if $8,550 a month was just expected, just assumed, just the price I paid for the privilege of occasionally seeing my grandchildren at whatever events Jennifer deemed appropriate for my attendance. The screen blurred slightly. I removed my reading glasses, set them beside the keyboard. Without them, the numbers on my banking app became soft and indistinct. But I didn't need perfect vision to understand what I was looking at. I'd been staring at this reality for years without actually seeing it. I thought about calling Bradley directly, demanding an explanation, asking what I'd done to deserve this dismissal. But I already knew the answer. Nothing. I'd done nothing except make myself indispensable and invisible at the same time. I was a checking account with a heartbeat, valuable only for what I could provide, and easily discarded the moment I expected something as unreasonable as a seat at the Thanksgiving table. My thumb hovered over the banking app. The office was very quiet. Through the window, I could see the sun starting its descent toward the mountains, painting the Scottsdale sky in shades of copper and amber, beautiful and indifferent. The city would keep moving whether I spent tomorrow alone or surrounded by family who tolerated me for my wallet. I pulled up the family chat one more time, read both messages again, then slowly scrolled through the payment list on my banking app. Each entry represented a choice I'd made. Compensation for not being there enough when Susan was sick, for working too many hours when Bradley was young, for every perceived failure that I had tried to remedy with money, because money was something I understood, something I could control. I stared at that list until the numbers burned into my vision. My voice came out quieter than I expected, absorbed immediately by the leather chair and empty walls. You want immediate family only? Let's see how immediate your bills feel. My thumbs moved across the phone screen with a steadiness that surprised me. The message I typed into the family chat was brief, stripped of anything that might suggest. Negotiation was on the table. Thanks for letting me know. Canceling all automatic payments today. Have a nice holiday. I read it twice. Changed nothing. Hit send. The little check marks appeared, confirming delivery. I watched them turn blue. Read receipts. Both Bradley and Jennifer had seen it. I didn't wait for a response. The exit group option appeared when I held down on the chat name and I tapped it without hesitation. A small confirmation dialog asked if I was sure. I selected yes. The chat disappeared from my screen. I opened my laptop alongside the phone, positioning both devices so I could work across platforms. Banking app on mobile, institution websites on the larger screen. I'd set up these payments methodically over the years. Seemed appropriate to dismantle them the same way. First, the mortgage, $3,200, scheduled to withdraw on the first of every month. I navigated to my primary bank's website, logged in, found the recurring payments section. The entry sat there, with its neat little active status in green. My cursor hovered over cancel scheduled payment for perhaps 3 seconds. Then I clicked. A confirmation dialog appeared. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? The recipient will not be notified automatically. I clicked confirm. The status changed from green to gray. Canceled, I muttered to the empty office. $3,200. Not anymore. Next came the car leases, Bradley's first, a luxury sedan he'd insisted was necessary for client meetings, even though his IT position had him working mostly from home. $489 monthly, canceled. Then Jennifer's SUV, the one she justified by claiming she needed safe, reliable transportation for the grandchildren. $512 monthly. Canceled. As I clicked through each one, I spoke quietly, echoing Jennifer's words back to the empty room. Maybe someday you'll earn the right to drive these cars. Not yet. The private school tuition was next. $2,200 split between 2 kids, withdrawn quarterly, but averaged into my mental monthly calculation. That one required logging into a separate education payment portal. More clicks, more confirmations dialogues asking if I was certain. I was certain. Homeowners insurance came next. Utilities. The premium cable package that cost more than my own monthly service. Each cancellation took between 2 and 4 minutes. Login credentials, security questions, navigation through menus designed to make canceling difficult. I worked through them with the patience of someone who'd spent 30 years in financial consulting, someone who understood that thorough work took time. Somewhere during the utility cancellation, my phone began vibrating. Bradley's name flashed across the screen, his photo from 3 Thanksgivings ago when he was still smiling at family gatherings. I glanced at it, reached over without looking directly at the screen, flipped the phone face down. The vibration continued for 30 seconds, then stopped. The silence lasted maybe 2 minutes, before it started again. Same name, same photo. I kept my eyes on the laptop screen, clicking through to cancel the cable package autopay. By the time I finished with Jennifer's credit card, the last item on my list, the one that had been quietly accumulating her business expenses, my phone had gone through several cycles of vibrating, stopping, and starting again. The calls were getting more frequent, more desperate. I closed the laptop with a quiet click that seemed loud in the office silence. The time on my computer screen read 7:52 p.m. I'd been working for just over an hour. Outside the window, downtown Scottsdale had transformed into its evening personality. Restaurant patios filling up with early holiday celebrants. Strings of lights illuminating the sidewalks. People starting their Thanksgiving festivities a day early. I gathered my things slowly. Laptop into my messenger bag. Phone picked up and slipped into my pocket, still face down, still vibrating intermittently. Coat from the hook behind the door. The drive to my apartment took 20 minutes through moderate traffic. I lived in a newer complex near Old Town, a 2-bedroom unit that had felt too large when I first moved in after selling the family house, but now felt exactly right for one person who didn't need to accommodate anyone else's expectations. Inside, I set my bag on the entry table and finally pulled out my phone. The lock screen was a mess of notifications, 47 missed calls. The message app badge showed 28 unread texts. I scrolled through the call log. Bradley, 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 Jennifer, Bradley, Jennifer, Jennifer. Unknown number. Probably Margaret Rodriguez, Susan's mother, alerted to the crisis and trying to mediate. Bradley, Bradley, Bradley. I powered off the ringer completely, disabled the vibration, set the phone face up on my desk where I could watch the screen light up silently with each new attempt to reach me. In the kitchen, I pulled down a bottle of bourbon from the cabinet, a bottle I'd been saving for a special occasion that had never materialized. Crystal glass from the set I never used because there was no one to use it with. 2 fingers of amber liquid catching the light from above the sink. I carried the glass to my living room window, left the apartment lights off. The city spread out before me in layers of illumination, streetlights, building windows, the red and white streams of traffic on Scottsdale Road. My phone screen glowed on the desk behind me, another silent call coming through. I didn't turn around. The bourbon was smooth, expensive. I took a slow sip and let it warm its way down. My voice came out quiet in the darkness. 8 years of trying to make up for her being gone. They never appreciated a single day. The phone screen went dark, stayed dark for maybe 90 seconds, then lit up again. Another call, another attempt to reach the man who just cut off their funding. I imagined Bradley's panic as he checked his bank. Notifications, saw the canceled payments, understood what it meant for their mortgage due in 5 days. I imagined Jennifer's fury, her calculations about bills coming due, her realization that her condescension had cost her more than she'd anticipated. I took another sip, watched the city lights. Behind me, my phone continued its silent, futile flashing. Tomorrow was Thanksgiving. I'd spend it however I wanted. Maybe I'd cook something simple for myself. Or maybe I'd go out. Find a restaurant serving dinner, sit at a table with strangers who owed me nothing and expected nothing in return. I woke Thursday morning to silence. No buzzing phone, no emergency knocks at my door, no crisis demanding my immediate attention. Just the pale November sunlight filtering through my bedroom blinds and the distant hum of Scottsdale Road traffic. Most of the city was preparing Thanksgiving dinners. I made coffee. My dining table became a workspace. Laptop open, legal pad to the right, pen positioned, parallel to the pad's edge, habits from 30 years of client meetings. I pulled up the folder on my computer labeled Property Documents and started clicking through files I hadn't reviewed in years. The North Scottsdale House Purchase Agreement opened first. I scrolled to the ownership section, highlighted the relevant passage with my cursor. Sole owner, Kenneth Barnes. No cosigner listed, no rental agreement attached. I'd bought it 6 years ago as what I'd called an investment property, a place where Bradley and Jennifer could get established while I covered expenses. The word temporary had been used frequently in those early conversations. Temporary had somehow become permanent. I took notes in my legal pad, handwriting precise despite the slight tremor in my fingers that had developed this past year. Property purchased January 2018. Total price $485,000. Mortgage paid in full 2021. Title, my name only. The vehicle leases came next. Both contracts opened in separate windows on my screen. Toyota Highlander for Jennifer, leased March 2022. Lexus ES 350 for Bradley, leased August 2023. I read the fine print I'd barely glanced at when signing. Primary leaseholder, Kenneth Barnes. Authorized driver, Bradley Barnes. The second vehicle didn't even list Jennifer. She'd been driving it on Bradley's authorization alone. I muttered to the empty apartment. Sole owner, no co-signer, no rental agreement. It's cleaner than I remembered. Friday afternoon, I sat in the same chair, laptop open to a different kind of research, property attorneys in Scottsdale. I read reviews, checked credentials, cross-referenced bar association listings. No personal connections. I wanted someone who'd never met my family, someone who'd see this as pure business. Trevor Adams's name appeared on 3 separate recommendation lists. Property disputes, contract law, 15 years of practice. His office was in Old Town, walking distance from the weekend art galleries Susan used to drag me to before she got sick. I filled out his online consultation form, selected the first available appointment, Monday, December 2nd, 10 a.m. Click submit. The confirmation email arrived 30 seconds later. Saturday morning, I was in my bedroom reading when my phone pinged with a doorbell camera alert. I opened the app and watched Bradley and Jennifer materialize on my screen, standing in the hallway outside my door. Bradley raised his hand to knock, the gesture tentative, almost apologetic. Jennifer stood behind him with her arms crossed, her mouth moving in what looked like urgent instructions. I turned up the audio. Bradley's knuckles made contact with the door. 3 soft raps, nothing that would disturb the neighbors. Jennifer's voice came through tiny but clear, harder. He's probably just ignoring us. Bradley tried again, marginally louder. I watched from my armchair, phone screen balanced on my knee, as my son performed this pantomime of reconciliation. Jennifer stepped forward, her face contorting with frustration. "Kenneth, open this door! You can't just abandon your family like this." Her fist hit the door with real force. Bradley's shoulders hunched. He reached out, touched her arm. "Maybe we should just go." She shook him off, pounded again, shouted my name 3 more times, each repetition sharper than the last. I watched her face flush red on the grainy camera feed, watched Bradley glance nervously toward the elevator, watched them stand there for nearly 10 minutes before Jennifer finally grabbed Bradley's elbow and yanked him toward the hallway. They disappeared from frame. I heard the elevator chime through my walls, set my phone down, returned to my book. Sunday evening, I was at my dining table sorting documents into folders when Margaret Rodriguez called. Susan's mother, a woman who'd held my hand at my wife's funeral and told me I'd been a good husband, even when I knew I hadn't been good enough. I stared at her name on the screen for several rings, before answering. "Kenneth, please." "They're desperate." Her voice trembled with genuine distress, at least initially. "The children need their grandfather. Don't destroy this family over one mistake." I kept my tone measured. "I'm not destroying anything, Margaret. I'm simply choosing not to fund people who treat me with contempt." But they apologized. "No, Jennifer told me I hadn't earned the right to sit at a table with my own family." Bradley agreed by his silence. "That's not a mistake. That's a statement of how they see me." She shifted tactics. I could hear it in her breath, the slight pause before the next sentence. "How can you be so cruel? Your wife would be ashamed of you right now." Something cold settled in my chest. My wife would want me to maintain my dignity. "Goodbye, Margaret." I ended the call, set the phone face up on the table, and watched it light up twice more with her attempts to call back. Didn't answer. Monday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that comes after. A decision becomes irreversible. I showered, dressed in charcoal slacks and a pressed button-down. Business casual, the uniform of a man who still went to an office every day and understood the difference between casual and careless. I drove to Old Town Scottsdale, parking near the art galleries where Susan and I used to spend Saturday afternoons. Walked 3 blocks to Trevor Adams' office building, a modest 2-story adobe structure with desert landscaping. Trevor was younger than I'd expected, maybe 45, with black frame glasses and a firm handshake. "Mr. Barnes, please have a seat." I opened my leather portfolio, extracted documents I'd organized over the weekend. "I've reviewed the basic facts from your consultation form," Trevor said, "but I'd like to see the actual paperwork." He examined the house deed with focused attention, made notes, looked up. "The vehicle leases, please." I handed those over. He spread everything across his desk like poker cards, spent nearly 20 minutes reading, cross-referencing, occasionally glancing at the bank statements showing 8 years of payment history. When he finally leaned back in his chair, his expression remained professionally neutral. Mr. Barnes, legally speaking, your position couldn't be stronger. They have no written lease agreement, no proof of rental payments, no claim to the property. Arizona law is very clear on this. How long will the eviction process take? 30 to 60 days if they cooperate. If they fight it, maybe 90, but they won't win. They'll just delay. He outlined his strategy with methodical precision. We'll send a formal eviction notice first, 30 days to vacate. Document everything they do in response, and the vehicles. You can terminate those leases tomorrow if you want. They're in your name. When can you send the notice? I can have it drafted by Wednesday, courier delivery Thursday at the latest. He quoted his retainer, $5,000. I didn't hesitate. Pulled my checkbook from the portfolio's inner pocket, wrote the check with practice strokes. 30 years of signing checks had made the motion automatic. I'll be in touch by Wednesday with the draft for your review, Trevor said, shaking my hand again. Wednesday came and went quietly. Thursday afternoon, Trevor texted, notice delivered, signed for at 10:47 a.m. 30-day clock starts today. My office phone rang 40 minutes later, Bradley's number on the caller ID. I picked up expecting his voice. Instead, Jennifer exploded through the speaker. You can't do this. This is illegal. We have rights. You're a cruel old man, and we'll sue you for everything. Her words tumbled over each other, fury and panic mixing into something shrill. I held the phone slightly away from my ear, waiting for her to pause for breath. When she finally did, I spoke calmly. Everything is legal. Talk to your attorney. I pressed the red button. The line went dead. Opened my contacts, found her number, selected block. A small dialogue appeared asking if I was sure. I confirmed. Her number vanished from my available contacts. The vehicle repossessions happened the first week of January. I'd terminated both leases with 7 days written notice, exactly per contract terms. Watched it all unfold on the security cameras I'd installed at the house in December. Friday morning, a flatbed tow truck backed into their driveway. The front door burst open. Jennifer appeared in her bathrobe, mouth already moving, hands gesticulating wildly at the driver. A stocky guy in coveralls with infinite patience. Ma'am, I have authorization from the leaseholder to retrieve this vehicle. You need to remove any personal belongings now. She positioned herself in front of the Toyota, literally put her body between the truck and the car. I have children. How am I supposed to take them to school? The driver showed her the paperwork. Even from the camera angle, I could see her face cycling through emotions. Disbelief, rage, desperation. 5 minutes to remove personal items, then the Highlander disappeared onto the flatbed. Saturday, Bradley's Lexus went the same way. Different driver, same professional patience. Bradley tried the arms spread wide approach, talking rapidly. The driver made a phone call, probably to the leasing company. Bradley's shoulders slumped. He stepped aside. January 9th, I watched through security cameras as they loaded everything into a U-Haul truck. Trip after trip. Boxes, furniture, lamps, everything accumulated during 6 years of rent-free living. Their movements were mechanical, exhausted. Around 9 p.m., the truck finally pulled away. Bradley driving, Jennifer in the passenger seat, both staring straight ahead. Next morning, I drove to the house. Used my key, walked through empty rooms. They'd tried to clean it, probably hoping I wouldn't pursue damages. Found wall scratches from furniture moves, a dark stain on the living room carpet. Photographed both, not for litigation, but for closure. Mid-February, I listed the house with Realtor Diane Foster. Beautiful property, Mr. Barnes. Prime North Scottsdale location. We should have no trouble at $675,000. This was an investment that didn't work out, I told her simply. The sale closed in April, netted $460,000 after paying off the remaining mortgage balance. Met with my financial advisor, transferred everything into municipal bonds and dividend stocks. Conservative investments funding my retirement, not someone else's lifestyle. April also brought Bradley a court summons. Credit card company suing for $11,200 in accumulated debt. Court-ordered wage garnishment, 25% of his paycheck. I learned this from credit monitoring alerts still connected to old accounts. In August, an email arrived from Bradley. Subject: I understand now. I almost deleted it unread. Dad, I understand now. We were wrong. I was wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness because I don't deserve it. I just want you to know I don't blame you anymore. You did what you had to do? I'm trying to be better for Lisa and Ryan. I read it twice. Started typing a reply, stopped, deleted it. Closed the email without responding. Acknowledgement received, response unnecessary. 10 days later, Margaret called. Kenneth, would you like to see Lisa and Ryan at my place sometime? Not to fix things with Bradley, just separately. The children need good people in their lives. Following weekend, I drove to Margaret's Phoenix home with a board game. Within an hour, Lisa, Ryan, and I were sitting cross-legged on her living room floor, laughing over Ticket to Ride. Can you come next weekend too? Ryan asked. I'd like that, I said. Now, 1 year later, I stand on my terrace watching sunset paint the mountains copper and purple. My retirement accounts are healthy and growing. No parasitic payments drain my resources. No manipulation texts arrive at midnight. The investment proceeds sit secure in conservative funds. My calendar shows normal life. Client meetings, dinner, reservations, weekend visits with grandchildren who know they're loved without conditions. Justice wasn't revenge or punishment. It was simply refusing to fund your own disrespect, drawing lines, maintaining them, living on your own terms. The phone buzzes, Margaret texting, kids asking when Grandpa's coming again. I type back, Saturday works. Set the phone down, watch the last light fade behind the mountains. Tomorrow brings normal life, the kind I'd been too busy enabling others to fully live. Inside my apartment waits quiet, organized, peaceful. I'd reclaimed something I'd given away too freely, my dignity, my financial security, my right to respect. The sunset continues without me, beautiful and indifferent, exactly as it should be. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop being kind in ways that enable cruelty. Money without respect isn't generosity. It's just expensive manipulation disguised as family duty. Real family doesn't make you earn the right to belong at their table. They save you a seat because you already matter. Everything else is just business dressed up as blood.